The views and opinions expressed in this podcast by the host or the guest do not necessarily reflect the views of Paranormal Buzz Radio or its sponsors. Use of any material produced by Paranormal Buzz Radio without express written consent is strictly prohibited. For information on everything Paranormal Buzz Radio has to offer, visit our website, paranormalbuzzradio.com. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter and Instagram.
Paranormal Buzz Radio is proud to present the Dying to Know podcast, brought to you all the way from the United Kingdom with Lee from Spirit Vision Paranormal Research.
Listener discretion is advised.
Welcome to our second podcast. Today's guest, super excited because it's one of the main reasons I got into the paranormal. I've always been interested in the paranormal.
For years.
Yeah, a lot of years. I've watched probably every documentary, every ghost hunting TV show on television.
And YouTube.
And never really had the urge to go out and actually look until I come across this one documentary which absolutely blew my mind. And what I seen looked so credible and so amazing that I actually got off my arse and went out myself looking to see what we could find.
Yeah.
So tonight's guest is Craig Powell from Sir No Face.
And he's a paranormal investigator, along with his wife Nicky.
With his own team. From Australia. So welcome, Craig.
And Nicky.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having us, man. It's very, very humbling to hear that the research that we've done over the last, 15, 20 years has changed lives. And, it's not just with you, brother, as well. It's, we've been fortunate enough to be able to have traveled the world with, the Sir No Face documentary and the films that come afterwards. And we've got to meet a lot of people and they actually say the same thing. So it's been really, really humbling. And if there's one thing that I can ever take out of what we've done in our research is that, it's made people such as yourselves want to go and research and look for yourselves. Because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what we show you. It's what you find yourself. It's the truth that you find for yourself. And you're never going to get that sitting in your lounge room, eating snacks, drinking a beer, watching, Most Haunted. That's not going to happen for you. You've got to get up and you've got to do it yourself. So enough of the lounge chair skeptics and lounge chair ghost hunters. Get off your backsides and get out there and go and have a look and try and find those answers to the questions that you've had. And mate, I congratulate you on doing that, and I hope your search for what you want to find and what you want to get out of it has just been or will be as rewarding as Nick and ours.
Yeah, I think it has so far for me. I think I was a massive believer in the paranormal because I grew up in haunted pubs, so I was full in, heard stuff, seen stuff. Yeah. And like I say, Lee used to drive me insane, like from the early 2000s, well, probably, 2001, Most Haunted started. He watched every episode, everything on repeat all the time, continuously. And I was like, really, you're driving me insane. And then we saw your...
Because I think I was looking for something credible. Nobody was showing me anything that was actually, I could say, oh my God, that's like, yes, it's real. Yeah. Until I come across.
And then we watched you. Actually, Lee watched your documentary first, and he rang me up, and I was at work, and he was like, "Oh my God, when you come home, you've got to watch this." And we watched it again, didn't we? Blew my mind. So then, fast forward then a few years, and then we started going out ourselves. And I think for me, it's made me a little bit more, I say skeptical, because I've realised that there is 98% of the things that we capture we can actually explain. And I always say this as well, is we're now on our second series, and when I go back to series 1, I reckon there's a good portion of it that I can go back now and go, actually, now I've got 2 years under my belt, I can explain that as well. So,
excellent. Really, really good. I think what most people don't tend to realise is that we're probably the most skeptical people you will ever meet. I mean, the stories, some of the stories we've heard and so-called evidence that people bring to us on a daily basis, you have to be that skeptical person. Otherwise, if you're not skeptical, that's when your credibility starts to get questioned.
And you'd be a nervous wreck, right?
And that's
Like,
a good point to make, because people say to me, "Will you watch this and watch this and watch this?" And I always say, "But I'll watch it." I'll say, however, I struggle to believe my own evidence.
Yeah.
So I'm really going to struggle to believe what you're bringing to the table, and that sounds a bit selfish, but
and it's also really difficult. I mean, we try to keep everybody on camera, but there's only ever the three of us, and if there's any more, we will tell you. There's nobody in the background doing anything. We keep everybody on camera. We spend 3 nights at each location and more, because we found that that helps. Yeah, the first night we get a little bit, and the more we go, the better it gets. But it's really difficult, and we get a lot on Instagram. We get people saying, "Can you look at this picture? Can you look at this video? Can you look at this baby cam footage?" And I always say, first of all, I'm not there, and a lot of the time the baby cam footage, is spiders.
Yeah.
Spiders,
or dust. Yeah. And also, people will contact us and say, "Oh, I've spoke to somebody and they said it's a demon in my baby's bedroom, and I feel so sorry for them."
Yeah.
I feel so sorry for them.
We made a conscious decision years ago to stop reviewing people's footage and photos that get sent to us, just for the main reason being, it's not that we don't want to help or give them our thoughts. It's, one, it takes a lot of time, and when you get hundreds of these things sent to you every day, it eats into most of the day, and it makes it virtually impossible to be able to get back to everyone. Secondly, I would say, 95% of the people have already made up their minds about what they have captured.
I was just thinking that.
And they want you to verify that for them. You know what I mean? Which we can't, because as you said, we're not there. We don't know who else is there. We don't know what the surroundings are like. We don't know if there's mirrors. We don't know if there's lights. We don't know. We don't know what the weather's like, all those different environmental type conditions. We don't know the cameras they're using.
A photo before, photos after.
That's the big thing.
It's got nothing to compare it to. You're just given this random thing and go, that's
absolutely.
Verify
we
that.
Always get asked as well, and I know a lot of teams in the UK do it. Can we do private houses? And we've always said absolutely not. First of all, for what we do believe in the paranormal, I personally don't believe in demons and all that sort of stuff. I believe there's good spirits, bad spirits, like you get with people in life. However, I'm never going to go into somebody's house, A, make it worse, B, tell them something wrong, even tell them everything's fine, and then something happen. We would never do it, would we?
Stay away from that.
So we steer away from that, all that sort of stuff, don't we?
Yeah.
But let's get on your Sir No Face, because I am so excited to speak to you guys.
I didn't know whether you'd take the thingy, because it's must like only just started the podcast, and when you said I was like, it's got back.
Like I said, because we were chatting previously before we started recording the podcast, and Nick and I don't do this a lot anymore. We don't speak to a lot of people. We don't do a lot of podcasts anymore. We definitely don't do media anymore. So I decided to do this because of your story as well, your reason for getting into it. We're all for supporting, people that are entering the field and all that type of stuff too. So, it's and like I said, we haven't done it for a while, so it's fun for us as well, just because we haven't done anything like this for a long time. There you go, man. Here we are. Hit me with your questions. Sir No Face, what do you want to know?
Yeah.
Oh my God, there's so many questions.
First of all, what got you involved in the paranormal?
My journey started when I was 16 years old. That's when I saw what I believe to be my first ghost. I don't think I had ever had an experience before that. I was never a child that thought too much about ghosts and all that sort of stuff, Half of my family side comes from a Maori background from New Zealand, which is my maternal side. My father's side is from Yorkshire, England. So
not far from us.
No.
Yeah, up in Leeds is where my father's side originates from. So, but from my mother's side, the Maori are very spiritual people. And I come from a very spiritual tribe back in New Zealand. So I think that has a lot to do with where I am today and the journey that I've had. But like I said, when I was 16 years old, I was babysitting my infant nephew who was just only recently been born. And it was my sister's and brother-in-law's first night out after having the baby. They were going out for dinner. I put my hand up to do the job, and at 16, I just actually signed my first contract to play professional rugby league. So I thought that I was king shit. I thought that I was invincible. I'm going to have this awesome, football career, rugby league career. I was the man. I was going to have all the cars and the women and all that sort of stuff, right? So here I am thinking I'm untouchable. And that I came crashing down to earth that night like you wouldn't believe. So to cut a really long story short, my nephew was asleep in bed. My sister had said, look, he's asleep. He'll probably be asleep for the night. He probably won't wake up. You don't have to worry about it. There's some dinner in the oven if you want. And off they went. It was a really cold winter's night. I'd just come from football training. And I went into the kitchen to make myself a hot cup of hot chocolate. And from their kitchen, you can see all the way down this really long hallway, which kind of divides the house. And at the end of the hallway was the baby's nursery. And there was a light, there was like a night light on in the baby's nursery. And while I was waiting for the kettle to boil, I saw movement out of the corner of my eye. And I quickly spun to turn, and I turned, and I saw someone walk into the baby's nursery. Just the back end of someone just disappeared into the baby's room. Like I said, I thought I was pretty invincible at the time. I immediately thought there was an intruder in the house. So I ran down the hallway and I ran into the baby's room, and there was no one there. The first thing I kind of noticed was that the room was freezing cold, absolutely freezing cold. And I thought to myself, well, whoever was in here has jumped out the window. They've left the window open. Freezing cold air is coming in. Or my sister, for some reason, forgot to close the window, right? So I went and checked the window. Window was locked firmly. No one was there. I started questioning myself. Maybe I was seeing things, I called my sister in a bit of a panic because I knew what I had seen. And I said, look, I think someone's in the house. I saw someone walk into the baby's nursery. So she told me to check all the doors, and I looked under the beds and I checked the cupboards and everywhere. And the only way that you could get from where I was standing down into the baby's room was to have to walk past me in the kitchen to be able to get there. And I knew nobody had done that. So I went about my business, went back to the kitchen, finished making my hot cup of cocoa. And as I was stirring the cup, I saw the movement again, and I turned to look this time, and I saw a woman in a really long light blue dress, and her hair was up in a bun. She had brown hair. It was like up in a top knot type thing. And she was walking down the hallway towards the baby's nursery. I never saw her face. And it was just like I'm looking at you guys. It was solid. That it wasn't your Hollywood ghost. It wasn't floating. It didn't glow. There was no mistiness about it. It was a solid being. And the thing that I remember most about that whole encounter was the sound of the fabric of that woman's dress as she walked down the hallway. And she went into the baby's nursery. And it was a solid being because I remember seeing the shadow as it passed the nightlight. And I was frozen. I was stuck in a position in that kitchen because I knew what I was seeing wasn't of this world. There was no possible way that this being or a person could have just appeared halfway down a hallway out of nowhere. And it took, every fibre of my being to work up the courage to have to go down into because, I needed to get the baby. Obviously, I wasn't going to leave the baby down there. And it felt like it took me half an hour. I don't know how long it took me, but it felt like it took half an hour for me to walk down that hallway and scoop up the baby. And I did that, and I sat in the lounge room and I watched TV, and I did not move until they got home. Now, obviously, no one believed me. My sister thought I was smoking drugs. My brother-in-law laughed at me. He was the biggest skeptic in the world. But that was the last time I ever babysat in that house. And about 9 months after that, they ended up leaving because of strange things that were going on in the house.
I was just going to ask if they had any experiences.
Yeah, well, they'd not long moved into that house before the baby was born. And it was actually my brother-in-law, the skeptical one, that had the most experiences. And he was the one that decided that they were going to move. He wasn't putting up with it anymore. So, when people start questioning you like that, then it was like, okay, how do I prove to them what I saw? Because I saw it, so how do I go about it? Now, you've got to remember, this was way before Most Haunted came onto the TV screens. This was even when, dial-up network internet was at its very,
infancy.
Yeah. I don't even know if they had the internet in the house at that time. So all of my research back then was done through encyclopedias or going to the library and borrowing books and reading it. Hans Holzer and all those types of authors, and just researching and reading books and figuring out how I could prove that this thing actually existed in their house. I didn't need to, because they had the experiences themselves. But for me, that's how my journey started. And Nick started when she was in India, because Nick was born in India, and she grew up in haunted houses too, didn't you?
Yeah, so very different upbringing. Life and death is so intertwined in India. Yeah. And of course, British India, right? So we were my grandfather was a colonel in the British Indian Army. My mum's side and my dad's side, we were in the railways. We've been in India since the 1600s. So our kids are the first ones out of India since then. Wow. So we grew up, that was the normal, that we lived side by side with that. And the houses we lived in, the compounds, all of the things that we had, that was second nature. And it was quite odd when we came to Australia and the topic was taboo, or things didn't happen. And it was like, this was really weird, because we never lived in places where, we didn't live side by side with spirit or with, the paranormal. There was always things going on. So it was kind of this really weird thing coming here. And no one talked about it. And if you did, you were a weirdo, or, why do we live in houses and the doors don't open by themselves, or, we're not seeing things. And it was just this total opposite to, I guess, what most people have. So I'm very blessed in that respect, really open-minded. And for me, it was more like, why don't people talk about it here? Why don't we see it here? Why is it such a different culture? I
was just going to say, do you think it's a cultural thing? Do you think that because so many people in India are so used to it and believe it, and it is part of their culture, that why maybe you have those experiences rather than in Australia, people are a bit more closed-minded? And
I think it's the age of the countries too, I guess. Australia's ancient, and I guess colony-wise, not that old. You've got trees in your garden that's older than our country, right? Like in England, right? Seriously. So I guess culturally, in that respect, you talk to our original people, and of course they have a lot more experiences. And then people just don't, it's kind of being tough. You don't want to refer to that. It's just the weird. It's it's a totally different topic. But I think it has got to do with the age of things, and the older places here are certainly have got that beautiful feeling, and you just walk straight into it. Where we are now, we knew straight away we were going to be moving in with other people that were already here on a different realm. We knew that right from day dot, and it hasn't disappointed. Settled down a lot because we just coexist. But I think it is a cultural thing as well. But the more you talk about things, the more people feel comfortable to come and talk to you about it.
Absolutely.
Because everyone has a story.
Everyone's had an experience of some sort. I found that out.
Everyone has, and or if you haven't, you will. Everyone will have an experience. I can tell you now that Nick and I, at one stage during our research, we used to get asked to go speak in front of the Skeptic Society about our research.
Yeah.
So, there was one time there we got invited to go speak to the Skeptic Society of New South Wales, and we got up and we spoke about our research. Now, you've got to remember, like, this is
hardcore.
You're talking to hardcore skeptics here. Like, they were full on. They were all, I would say, 98% of the crowd were very respectful in it. I mean, there were a couple there that went pretty hard at us. But it was really funny that after we finished our presentation, people would come up and say hello, shake your hands, thanks for coming and speaking. It must have been a hard thing to do, etc., etc. And then you could just see them hanging around. They'd float around for a while. They'd speak to other people, and you could just see them out of your peripheral that they were still hanging around. And then once the crowd started to move away and dissipate a little bit, these skeptics would come up to you and go, I don't believe in all this sort of stuff.
Yeah.
But there was this one time when, right? So, they'll sit there in front of a room full of skeptics, but they've had an experience and they know it. They know they've had an experience. And look, it might be on your deathbed, because I speak to, my work colleagues, a lot of close friends of ours claim to have never had experiences. But it could be on your deathbed when it happens. You know what I mean? But there will be a point at some time in everyone's life where you will have an experience. And we've also found that a lot of people don't even realise that they've had an experience until years down the track, and they talk about it and they think through things that have happened to them, and they're like, holy shit, we just experienced something. Well, back then I experienced something really strange. So,
but they know it's strange because it just gets locked away. It's something that just, it's not right. Somewhere in your psyche you go, there was something odd about it. There was something mystical or something strange that it just sits, just in the background there, and it, it'll pop up at the right time. Go, that resonates with me. I've said for a long time, I'm way past being a believer. I'm not a believer. I'm a knower, and there's a shift that occurs. It's whether believing is seeing or seeing is believing, and then things will happen to you and you just go, I'm past that believing now. I know, you just know that
deep side,
that it is
inside your gut that they're there.
That it is sacred, that it is magical. You can feel it when you walk into a room, and the more aware you are and the more work like this you do, the more things will happen, because spirit can sense that you're aware, and you can see things differently, and you can very quickly read a room, and you can go through all that skeptical stuff, and then you go, hang on a minute, somewhere else in your own body is telling you no, even though you're rationally trying to go, is it this? There's a knowing that you're in the presence of something else. And you can't tell that to anyone. You can't transcribe it in a podcast or on the television. You have to be in that space.
And feel it yourself.
To
get it.
Some of the most amazing experiences that I've ever had is not me having an experience personally, but it's watching someone else have that experience for the first time. Because out on Cockatoo Island, where Sir Nayface was filmed, we used to take members of the public to experience, and these people had never had paranormal experiences in their life. So some of them were government officials. So to watch them have that experience and watch the water well in the eyes and the hairs stand up on their body, and you can just see that there was something in them that knows that this is another worldly experience. And that's some of, beyond having my own experience, sightings, hearing things, all that type of stuff, being able to watch someone have an experience, especially for the first time, man, that's awesome. It is awesome.
So what drew you to that island? Obviously, you've been there many a times then. You've not just done a few nights. You've obviously done quite a lot of research into that island. What drew you there originally?
We spent 2 years on that island.
2 years.
I mean, Cockatoo Island was always a place that I was drawn to, just because it's such an historical site, right in the middle of one of the most beautiful harbours in the entire world. It's right in the middle of Sydney Harbour, this place. And
the views were tough. It was tough.
Yeah. And from where I used to work, I used to see this island every day. Like, it was always there in my visuals. So knowing the history of the place, being ex-military, and knowing that it was abandoned and that there was no one there, it always, for a paranormal investigator, it always piqued your interest. It's like, man, I'd love to get out there and have a look around. And you know what? Call it fate. I don't know. Call it destiny. I received an email one afternoon from the Australian government asking us if we'd like to conduct paranormal investigations for them.
Right.
And I had to read the email several times.
And check our diaries.
Every weekend and night was open.
Yeah, that's right.
Let me get back to you.
Yeah. Please let me think.
Yeah.
I got Nick to read through it several times just because
Surreal.
This is the government of a country contacting you personally because they want you to conduct paranormal investigations. Like, this is unheard of, absolutely unheard of. So immediately, I'm like, man, something's going on here if we're getting contacted by the government. Yeah. And then to see it was Cockatoo Island, a place that I'd always been interested in being able to go out and have a look at. Nick and I were on the phone to them that afternoon. We were teeing up meetings with them. We did presentations for them.
Risk assessments,
all that type of. Sorry.
That was the door bang.
Sorry, really quickly, in this house that we live in at the moment, we have what we believe is a ghost that bangs on the front door and the front windows because a person literally was killed just out the front, just through this window here. Just out.
3 years ago.
Yeah, when he was actually stabbed in the heart, this poor fella.
Wow.
And when he got stabbed, he actually ran up onto the front veranda where just to our right hand side and was banging on the doors and the windows to try and get help. And no one was home at the time, and then walked back off the porch and died just literally out here. Some of the things we hear are banging on the doors and the windows, and that, I don't know if you guys heard it, but it
I just saw you both just stop. But I reckon when
it just happened then, which is really weird. Sorry, but going back to Cockatoo Island, we conducted risk assessments for them. We did presentations for them about our research and what we did, and they said, look, we've got a file that was about that big. I know your listeners won't be able to see it on the podcast, but it was a couple inches thick, this book.
Wow.
And it was full of reports of strange activity ranging from ex-members of staff that worked out on the island, security, people that used to conduct tours out there for the public, you name it. It was all in this dossier of, ghost stories and sightings.
Alleged.
That's
the word. Yeah.
So
alleged.
They said, look, we've got all of these things. We want you to see if you can validate this for us, see if any of it is true. Because I think in the back of their minds, they were opening up the island again to the public. And I think they thought that, some of these nice, fun,
ghost
not
stories.
really scary, but kind of creepy ghost stories would be cool to be able to tell, on the island at night and all that type of stuff. And I said, but, we're going to need to be able to have access to this place when we need to, when we want it. And they virtually just threw us the keys to an island.
Wow.
Yeah. Hundreds of buildings on it.
Yeah. Because we all worked full time as well. So, there's limitations with that, young families, kids, all those things. So, as you love a job, you're not getting paid for it. It's got to fit in with everything else. So, which could only be done after your normal life that pays the bills. So it all had to be done after work. So we literally finished work on a Friday and be on the island all weekend. That was it.
And through the week.
And through the week whenever we could. But the weekend, every weekend, and we'd alternate. The last ferry would leave at 11 o'clock at night. So, you'd have to make sure you were on that to get to the island. And that was it. You were stuck there until 6 or 7 the next morning. And sometimes we'd have to jump back on, go to football, with the kids, jump back again. It was just, we did it. I know, you look back and you think, oh my Lord, how we did it. But we did it.
But it became home. The island became home to us. They gave us a building where we just made our HQ, you know, turned it into our own little home, and we just stored all of our equipment out there.
Our bedding, our
food. It was just
so you had your own nice little base.
And we just turned up when we could, and away we went. And
like
we were there. We were there for 2 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like you guys have found, when you go back to a place or you're there for a bit, it really starts to open up and tell its story to you.
Mm-hmm.
So you can imagine after 2 years.
What's
going on, right? It was phenomenal. Just
you kind of have the same sort of thing as we get. Obviously, we've never done 2 years at a place, but the more and the longer you spent, the more you were getting out from the island.
So important.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's so important.
Yeah.
You know,
the time.
The people that think that you can go and run an investigation in the period of 12 hours or even a couple of days, you can never conduct a fully documented paranormal investigation in that time. The only thing you can conduct in that time is a good old-fashioned ghost hunt. Maybe you'll see something.
I agree.
Maybe,
and I even think us for 3 nights, even we're not there yet.
We're only scratching the surface.
We're only scratching the
That's
surface.
right. Yeah, but you understand. See, you get the idea that
repetition, and that relationship, and it's a relationship.
Yeah, you've got to build up a relationship with whoever's there. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And some nights, you're tired, they're tired, whatever. There's different energy. There's different, and because we had such a big team, we would notice there'd be certain people you'd put together, and you'd get fireworks. There'd be others. Yeah. You'd get nothing. You'd have to kind of mix it around and energetically as well to see what you would get and who would get reactions and just different things, isn't it?
That's
really always
funny.
something
I've never heard
different.
Say that before.
No.
Obviously we all do different experiments and different things, but to hear you guys say that even different team members working with different people and different energies has made a difference is really really for me interesting.
You'll put certain people together and all hell will break loose, and then you put others in exactly the same room, same can do all of that and nothing. And it's like, okay, well, why? That's interesting. There's
3 of us. I always say it's our energy. See, when we go onto a location, we're not dead serious. We have a laugh. We'll spend so long doing, and then in between the boys will muck about and have a bit of a laugh. And I think it's the energy that we bring together as the 3 of us, I think makes a massive difference, and I always have done. And I notice if, like, say, Lee's been at work or Rocky's been at work and they come in and they're tired, or they've been doing whatever, and one of us is tired, it has a massive effect.
Absolutely.
There's been places we've gone to and we've been 2 or 3 hours and we've been like, let's just call it, because none of us can be bothered. Like, we're all absolutely knackered. We're not getting anything. Let's just pack up and come back tomorrow when we've had a good sleep, haven't we?
And it's been a totally different outcome.
Yeah, it's the energy you go into. The one thing that I'm really, really interested in about your time on the island is the lights that you were getting, the phenomenon of the lights.
And the capture.
Obviously, the captures. Yeah, but I mean, for me, the lights, and I'll tell you why. We've spent a few nights just recently in an abandoned castle. See, we only do abandoned buildings over here. We're urban explorers as well as paranormal investigators. And I personally think that we get more because we go in buildings where there's not been any paranormal investigations done.
No foot traffic.
There's no, it's you're just there down to the bare, whoever's there. I mean, I always say personally, if you're sitting in your house every night and 10 ghost hunters walk in, night after night, as a human being, you'd be sick to death of it. You wouldn't want a spirit. You want to be left in peace. So I find that they're the best ones. But anyway, we're in this particular room. We've got 4 cameras running, so we haven't seen the footage yet, have we?
No,
and we've not finished there. We've got a few more nights yet to go. We were getting some activity on the REM pod, and then we were just having a bit of a downtime. And there was this flash in the room that lit the entire room.
Somebody took a photo with a DSLR, the light. And it was just 1 split second and gone. And I'm like,
we've never had that. There's 2 windows in the room. Actually, there might be 3. They're all boarded up. They're old castle windows, so they're very, very thin, very long, but they're all boarded. There's 1 door, which the camera is on the door. So I'm really excited to see this, something we've never experienced. And obviously, straight away, I'm like, oh my God, that's like...
The only time I'd seen it was on your...
Cockatoo Island. Incredible.
It's amazing since that documentary was released and the footage was released, the amount of people that have come forward to us and tell us their experiences with the light flashing, you know, and it all sounds extremely similar to what we were able to capture out on the island.
I think your intent has a lot to do with it as well, you know, because energetically we're all energy anyway.
Yeah.
And like attracts like. So your intent and what you're doing, I think that can be read. I mean, we can all read a room, you know, when you can walk in, you can tell who the warm and friendly people are. You can tell those that are a bit stuck up. You can tell those that are, you can tell it. You can read a room. It's the same thing. So if you're going in with good intent, you've got an open heart, you're not, you know, there to mistreat or abuse. They know that. And so you get these wonderful magical pockets of things that you just unexpected. And that's enough to keep you going to the next thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The amount of times that we would think, how many times has that happened and we haven't noticed it, you know, or we haven't, oh my Lord, how many times, you know, you just turned around and you've missed it behind, you know, what we've captured and what you haven't captured. And it's about being present then and just being present to be aware of it and not be fiddling with, you know, your gear and being sidetracked. It's just being present.
And that makes so much sense because at the beginning when I went into it, I was like full. Apart, I know I'd seen yours, but like I said, until I see with my own eyes, I was out. I was on the I wasn't out. I was on the fence, and then slowly, as like you're hearing voices come through that you didn't hear that night yet, they picked up. And I'm not talking voices that are like when you hear some of these EVPs and they're like, this is like over your voice. I'm like, what? Are you kidding me? An old woman was like, it wasn't shouting us. It was like she was, you know, if an old person needs assistance and like, they go, you. Yeah. And it was like so clear, but it wasn't once. It was over 3 months, and we'd caught her on.
So our first as a team place that we investigated, it was a nursing home that's only down the road, and I used to work on an ambulance, so I was very familiar with this place. I'd actually seen things and heard staff members many years ago tell me about experiences they had in this place. It was abandoned, and we spent 3 months, probably even more.
But we were lucky; we knew the security there, so he'd give us free range, just ring him when we're there. So any calls, he knows it's us. And
he was kind of happy that somebody was there and wasn't kids, you know, smashing the place up. So we've got this capture of this lady 3 different times on 3 different devices. So the first of all was the voice recorder, then it was the camera, locked off camera, and actually then it was us. We all heard it.
On the last time, we all actually heard it.
Over 3 different complete nights and different locations of this house. And that blew your mind.
It blew my mind. I'm on the fence. I'm not sure. And then you hear that. And then I've got Sarah going, go on then, explain that. And I'm like, I can't. I really can't explain that.
I always call him out, like, go on then, tell me your stupid theory now.
Which then slowly we've got more, it's changed my view on it. And now when I go places, I'm more like, I wouldn't say respectful because I'm respectful anyway, but I'm more aware. And it's as if it's a shift because stuff's getting a little bit better and a little bit.
There has been places, right, that we have gone to, and this back in the early days, and he's gone, yeah, I don't feel anything here. Yeah, there's nothing. And then he's just closed down. And I've gone, pointless you being here. No point in you being here. You're affecting the energy. Let's just move on to a different place. And now you're starting to open up a bit more and stuff's happening.
It got to the point where we'd capture stuff on like we have laser alarms and they're going off, and I'm going home and I'm that determined to debunk it. I'm going, it's dust, and I'm getting kids' Cocoa Pops, scrubbing it and dropping it, sprinkling it to see if it was dust. I know, but that's all I had at the time. I couldn't kick dust up in the house. But I'm trying to.
That's right. What you can do.
I'm trying to set out, and then I'm going, could it have been like a moth? Right, dog biscuit. Throw a dog biscuit through it, and nothing set them off. So she's going, go on, then anything else you want to try with them? And I'm like, but slowly I've come round to something's going on. I know something's going on.
I am very glad, though, that we've got him on the team because I think he keeps us all grounded.
And you need that. Yeah,
absolutely. I think every team or investigator needs a skeptic somewhere along the line that's going to go, well, hang on a minute, just stop and think. Because
I felt like I was a fun sponge, like I was. Oh, here he comes again. He's here.
Yeah, but sometimes, right, me and Rocky have been like, oh my God, what's that noise? And he's gone, well, hang on a minute. It's the way you go, oh, right, okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Fair enough. That's
yeah. And some nights you're a bit more sensitive and jumpy because you might be a bit tired and you just think, you're just a little bit more nervous. So any little sound or anything can set you off. And then there'll be other nights where you're a bit more stoic, right? And you go, you can handle it. And I think we take that in turns as well, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, he's big, but he's actually quite a scaredy cat. You'd never tell.
There goes your street cred.
The secret, yeah. He can be quite jumpy, especially at home here, right? I mean, at home, he'll get me to go and have Nick. Do you hear that noise? Go and have a look. Me, right?
It's funny. It's funny at Cockatoo Island or haunted asylums or haunted hospitals.
He's fine.
I'll go and wander off in the dark by myself for hours.
Is that because you're there? Your mind's in a different gear. You're kind of expecting that's where you get. But at home, you're a bit more relaxed.
I don't know. I think it does have a lot to do with work mode. You go into that work mode. It's like right. I know why I'm here. I know what I have to do. You know, we always go in with a plan of what we want to achieve and all that type of stuff. So when I go to those places as well, remember more now than when I first started, I want to have that experience. Mm-hmm. Like I want that shadow figure to pop up at the end of that fucking hallway and I want to go. You know what I mean? Like I want it to come to me. There were nights, and Nick will tell you, I want to be picked up and thrown against walls. Like whatever you guys do, don't stop filming. I want that. That's what I want to happen. But when you're at home, like your home's your sanctuary, right? Yeah. Like this is where you're safe. This is where nothing's meant to frighten you or harm you or anything like that. So it's always different at home. And Nick will always say, oh, how about we just run an EVP? And I'm like, no, don't want to know. I don't want to know what's lurking in my house. I want to be oblivious to it and just be able to get to sleep at night and not have to worry about it. You know what I mean? So I am a lot.
I get that. I do get that. Our daughter's 18 and she's from very young age has always told us things like people sitting on the end of my bed in the middle of the night, and we've always been like, yeah, okay, you're having a bad dream, don't worry about it. Imagination. Yeah. So, but we took her to this asylum where we had the best thing we've ever witnessed, which is a rock thrown in a room when you can see each other. There's one door. We've got a camera locked off on that door and down the corridor, so we know nobody else was there doing it. Blew our minds, and yet we wonder if it's the combination of having Jess there with us.
Maybe.
Because somebody said to us the other day, we were explaining, she keeps having like nightmares about this place, and it's been 6 months nearly now. And
saying a woman's saying to her help, but she's not saying it. She can see she's saying it. She's not speaking it. She's saying it. She's asking for help.
And she says to us all the time, I can see stuff in your bedroom and I see stuff on the stairs, and somebody woke me up in the middle of the night breathing down my ear, or somebody shouted me. And I always say, like, oh, do you think we should get a camera? And I think, God, no, I wouldn't don't want to know.
I totally
don't want to know.
Yeah. I totally get that.
She might need some help with some mediumistic, guidance in that.
That's what we were talking about the other night. We were talking to a lady who is a medium, but she said, from what we were because personally, I don't know if I believe mediumship. I've seen and heard some really credible people. However, you haven't. He's so skeptical with that. However, I don't know. I just need a bit more proof, I think, on the whole mediumship side of it. However, this woman says to me, everything that we have described, everything that just with this woman's taken around this asylum, and she can't hear what she's saying, but she can sense what she's saying. It sounds to me like your daughter is a bright light, and it would kind of make sense because that activity we've got blew our minds. We weren't running around screaming. We were 25 minutes of all of us standing there shaking like, what?
I froze. I didn't know what to do. On the camera, I just stepped back and it doesn't look as though I'm affected, but I actually froze. I couldn't move. I didn't know what had gone on because my head couldn't accept what had happened. I couldn't process what had happened. I've got my daughter looking at me going, scared. She went white. She's like looking at me and got for protection. And I just looked at her and I'm like, wow, that was amazing. And that wasn't what she wanted to hear, but for me,
it was very confusing as parents and paranormal investigators to be side by side, because the parent, you want to protect your children and you want to wrap her up, and she's physically shaking from head to toe and get her out of there. And as paranormal investigator, you're going,
we can't go. We can't
leave.
That's what we'll come for.
But we did a little bit more and then we left, didn't we? Because we couldn't. And we said we'd never take her again. Because just for us, like I say, parent and paranormal investigator side by side was very difficult.
Yeah, it is difficult. Yeah, we've done that before with our boys and.
It's tough because you just want to be the protective parent as well. You know what I mean? Which takes you away from your job and what you're meant to be doing. And also, look, nothing is going to stir up the hornet's nest more than a teenager. You know, especially, you know, hormonal girls or, you know, pubescent boys.
Yeah.
That is going to stir up stuff like you would not believe. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, yeah, you take a teenager on a paranormal investigation, and you probably, you know, you're going to experience things.
Yeah.
You know, you're going to experience it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah. Going back to, sorry, going back to your capture,
the light,
and what looked round the door, that thing.
Oh, yeah.
When Sarah first seen it, she went,
alien.
That doesn't look like a ghost. That really doesn't look like a spirit. And I'm like, oh, of course it is. That's. I mean, what does a ghost look like? But if a ghost looked like something, it was peeping around the door. To me, that was a ghost. So
you know, you were talking about those nights where it's really quiet and you want to pack it up and go home. That was that night.
Really?
It was that quiet. It was Valentine's Day. Craig was at home. He was sick. He had the flu. We were tired. It was hot here. We were just, and it was quiet. The night was quiet. You know, those nights, just everything just gets longer, and you just, I mean, the humidity here in Sydney was vile. Really, really sticky. We're in the high 30s, early 40s, and at night it doesn't really cool down. Even though we're on the water, it was just sticky. Just, you know, it was not pleasant, and you just didn't want to be there, you know. And it was really super quiet night. And that's the night.
Yeah, I remember picking them up from the ferry terminal in the morning and just asking how their night was. And the team that were there on the night just said, "Oh, there was nothing.
It was really quiet.
It was dead. To excuse the pun, not much happened at all." And we got that from time to time on Cockatoo Island. So it was just, I'm really anal when it comes to, you know, our data collection and all that type of stuff. So I went about the task of reviewing every single piece of footage that they got from the night, you know, even though they said nothing happened. I'm like, well,
I do that.
Yeah.
Let's just do it anyway, you know. And sure enough, we picked up what is now known as the Cerno face footage.
Yeah, pretty phenomenal.
I couldn't even imagine coming across that.
My brain couldn't even. We had to watch it a few times. If I'm honest with you, a few times I was like, right, you're gonna have to rewind that back. I need to see that again, and rewind it back.
Yeah.
And it blew my mind to think that you managed to capture that as well. But again, it goes back to that thing that you were saying at the beginning, is you can have the best piece of evidence in the world, and it's up to the person watching whether to believe you or not.
That's right.
You can produce all kinds of cameras.
Yeah. We'd seen things like that. You know, you see that. So even when Craig showed me, and I can still remember I was cooking dinner. I still remember what we was doing, and he's called me over to have a look at it. And it was almost like, yeah, that's right. That's, you know, it was almost like, yeah, that's what we've seen.
Yeah, I see that all the time. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you know what? It was just like really, oh, yeah, that's cool. I mean, we're watching it on a really tiny little, you know, monitor anyway. It's not anywhere near as impressive. Yeah. So, but yeah, I've got to get back to the spaghetti, love. Like, you know, just like, oh, yeah, that's what we've seen. You know, it wasn't that big a deal, but it was a bit of validation because we'd seen stuff like that. Yeah. And initially it was almost like, was even thought of maybe, you know, children or something, because we would get kids and I would get a lot of tugging, and, you know, and I'm not very tall, so, you know, something to tug on me. It had to be little, you know, to tug in that same space. So
I guess at the time we didn't really know how important that piece of footage was.
No,
it was just validation for us more than anything else. Yeah.
Well, that kickstarted me then.
That kickstarted you.
That made me give me the get up and go to go. I want to do this. I want to go out.
I think for me, seeing that is one thing, to see that, because obviously I've seen lots of shows that I personally, even back in 2000s, I was like, load of crap. I'm not watching.
Which we now know are full of shit.
Yeah, I would say to him, I don't know why you're watching that shit. That, you know. So when he rings me up and he's like, "You got to watch this," I'm like, "Oh right, really? Here we go." You know.
Because I'd never seen anything that I'd 100% in my heart of hearts thought, wow, that is absolutely. I'm in with that. All these other TV shows you see.
To credit to you guys, for me, it's just how credible you are afterwards. And like I listen to all the research you do, Craig, and we were listening to one the other day about your peripheral vision and stuff. To me, it's just, you're kind of like us in a way. That's great, we've got that, but now let's find out the whys and the hows, and let's not drum it up and be like, the usual, like, oh, we found a demon on this island. It was none of that. It was like, right, we've got this. Now why and how and what's going on?
Yeah,
I think what the majority of people don't realise as well is that if it hadn't have been for Chad Kalick in making that documentary, no one would have seen that footage.
Yeah.
I never would have released that footage.
You said that. You actually said that, yeah.
Yeah, this was just documentation for the government. This was all just going to be packaged up for them and just be given to them, So it was never going to be something, and obviously kept for our own records and for us to be able to study and research going forward. But it was never something that we were going to release to the public either. You know what I mean? All of that, everything you saw on that film. And I can tell you now, that's not even 10%.
I can imagine.
Chad Kalick decided to focus on the Sir No Face footage because it was a visual piece.
Yeah.
But I can tell you now, there are other entities out on that island that we would interact with on a daily basis, that we started having personal communication with, which really got me thinking in other ways that I was thinking before, specifically about life after death.
Mm-hmm.
And one of those was a ghost called Minnie, and Minnie used to sing for us on the island when we asked her to. And she would sing the most amazing melodies in this old house, old sandstone building up there. And Minnie was a daughter of one of the superintendents out on the island when it was a prison. And through our research, we found out that Minnie used to be into the occult herself, and she would hold seances herself. And she would have this affinity with the afterlife and what is beyond. Also, Minnie was a music teacher, and she used to teach singing and music and all that type of stuff too. Now, that footage that I've never released, and I don't to be honest with you, I don't know if we will, because it's become something that's really personal for us. We probably will one day, who knows? But that is, you want to be blown away. Sir No Face is nothing compared.
And I can believe that. And I can believe that because obviously you spent 2 years there, so the amount of stuff that you have got and experienced, I can imagine is more mind blowing than what we've seen.
Yeah. There's even stuff we've recently found, because there was so much audio and video, all that stuff, and you've got to go through it, and then you'll go through it again. Let's have a look. Came across that other audio the other day, and it's like, oh my God, where the hell was that? It just you missed it, or you didn't,
Might pick it up at the time. Yeah,
look, we haven't been on Cockatoo Island since 2014, 2015.
And am I right in thinking now that nobody goes on the island? It's not open to the public now.
Yeah, it is now. It's open to the public now. Yeah, it is open to the public, and people can camp out there and wander around and have a look at the old artifacts and old buildings and all that type of stuff. So it is open, but we haven't been out there ourselves for years. But we still go through the footage and the audio, and there's things we think about, and it's just like, well, we'll go through this again and see what else we can find. And we're still finding things from Cockatoo Island to this day.
Wow.
Sometimes I think it's about synchronicity as well. Timings of when you find something, and I mean, there's other things at play, and then something will happen, and a whole series of, it's like that domino effect. Just go, oh my goodness, how the hell, what? And it all just falls into place, whether we weren't ready to see it then or hear it then, or
I'm a great believer that when you're supposed to know, that's when it's your time. It's your time to know.
Yeah.
So I mean, that would be something that I would definitely suggest for you guys going forward too, is that when you finish at a location and you think you're done, leave it for a while
and go back.
I think there's some like I say from series 1 that I think we need to go back to. I'm kind of at the stage now where I don't really care about views. I don't care about likes. We never really did it for that anyway. I just need to know for ourselves. Even sometimes I'll say to him, let's just go back there, just take a camera, but we'll not do anything with it. Don't we? And we'll go back, because I think we've got what we've got now. I need to know why and who and what, and why are you there, and why are you speaking to us, and why have you come? Like you said, what I find the best footage that I really love going through is locked off cameras in a room where there is nobody and
100%.
there's nothing, and I can see that we're on the other side of the building, or we've left the cameras recording by accident because we're now packing away. They are the best pieces of evidence we've got.
And we always find as well that
when
we're talking to each other and we're not concentrating on what we're doing,
yeah,
bang, it gets you, and you're like,
exactly.
you bugger.
Yeah. Or we'll come out and go, oh, that was a shit place. We didn't get anything.
Yep.
And I'll get on the thing and I'll go, oh my God, have you heard this? Have you heard that?
Absolutely. Yeah, that's exactly how it works. So, you know, it's not so much like you guys, it's not about, right? You know that there's something there. It's about, okay, the mechanics of it. Why did they talk to us tonight? Why, you know, and give them something different instead of just, you know, make a noise to let us know you're there. I mean, oh my God.
Yeah. See, we kind of don't do
Lord.
that. What you don't see on our footage, and it's kind of difficult to capture anyway in 25 minutes over, 3 hours, 5 cameras is a lot to try and compress into 25 minutes, is when we go into buildings, we'll ask them things like your family and your grandkids and this was your family home and this looks lovely, and just anything about your life. Tell us your story.
Something different, just to get them into interaction. Something different.
Don't make a noise. Don't bang. Don't touch a REM pod. We don't kind of do any of that, do we? Do a bit of that if we get something.
Or what can we do for you?
Yeah.
That's right.
Rather than you do something for us.
Yeah. And one of the biggest things we got out of Cockatoo when Craig was talking about Minnie was, after we found out that she was a spiritualist and, would feign sickness so she could stay at home and with her girlfriends to do Ouija board sessions. And it's like, are we her ghosts? Are we her ghosts? How are we this amazing conversation with what is it? We found out at that point even that she was still alive or not long dead. What was that? She was still alive? No, or Minnie at that time.
No, she had passed.
Okay, yeah.
So so more or less what Nick's saying is that Minnie died at a grand old age of 80s, late 80s.
Yeah.
But we were interacting with a Minnie that was 17,
younger,
18, right?
And do you think because she was involved in what she was involved in, she was obviously more aware of maybe how to communicate and how to talk to you guys?
Most definitely. But it really started my line of thinking towards, parallel dimensions and the multiverse theory. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not so much the spirit of the dead. I don't think we were really dealing so much with the spirit of the dead when it came to the ghost that we called Minnie. I think she was still very much alive and well.
Right, okay, I see what you're saying. It was just a younger version in a different dimension.
Yeah, exactly right.
I need to ask you this because I don't know if you've ever experienced this, and I have tried to do some research on it, but we've had a few times now where we've captured EVP or something through a spirit box, and it sounds like the boys. It's their voices, it's their tone. We even went to one farmhouse, right? And what I captured in the audio in the background, when I watched the entire footage, the boys had actually said it earlier.
It mimicked what
they said, but from a few days earlier. And it made me really think, right, about dimensions and all of that, because, look, the way we are, if we're living in a different dimension and we're looking at ourselves ghost hunting, I'm telling you now, I'm going to be, come on, I'm banging this over here. I'm going to, I'm going to muck about. Yeah. That would be me. That would be me going, right, there's Sarah. Let's muck about with her tonight. So have you ever experienced anything where you've had anything auditory where it sounds like somebody or one of your team members or?
Yeah. All the time.
Yeah.
All the time. I hear Nick all the time when she's not on an investigation or she's not here, or I think Nick's even experienced that with me. I've experienced it with other team members. Yeah. Man, we can tell you some whacked out stories where we were with a film crew, and there were people with the film crew that weren't present on the night. Now, when I say they weren't present on the night, they were in another location filming. Yet for some reason they showed up on film with us. They weren't there; they were somewhere else. But we've got them in the room with us,
oh my God.
And we've seen them. This thing was standing right next to me.
Yeah.
of a person that wasn't there. They were in another location filming.
That is insane.
So this, I think one of the things that has really halted paranormal research is television.
Absolutely.
Started it. I mean, it was a good thing, and then it kind of plateaued.
Most. I tell you now, our youngest son Diesel, he, when Nick was pregnant, she would be up late at night, not being able to sleep. With Diesel moving around and all that type of stuff, and Nick would sit up late at night and watch Most Haunted
on DVD.
Right? On DVD.
Yeah.
So it was really funny that when he was born and he wouldn't settle, Nick would put Most Haunted on, and that theme music to Most Haunted would just drift him off,
Oh my God.
He'd settle again.
Or I'd be feeding him and, put on Most Haunted, and the next minute his little Emmett was like, oh my God, don't do that. Wait, oh my God. Just
spin around to have a look at
spin around, just like, let go of that first, mate.
Paranormal TV was awesome to build awareness of where we are now. It got people talking, it's made a lot of people come out of their shells and be comfortable with themselves. I'm not going crazy. I'm not mad. See, there are other people experiencing this. But the thing that happens is that TV shows lock us into a state of mind or a state of research where, for a long time, all anyone ever did was investigate night vision. Infrared, right? And that's because the television networks loved it because it looks scary. You can see in the dark and it looks scary, right? So everyone did it. All the paranormal crews did it. All the paranormal teams did it. Everyone was doing night vision. Now, I understand the theory behind it. We're looking into another light spectrum, okay? Because there are theories that when we look into other light spectrums, we can see things that we can't see in our normal vision or normal light. But come on, we can only do that for so long because, even though the Sir No Face footage was filmed in night vision, how much further has that got us in the research? Night vision. It hasn't really moved us leaps and bounds into figuring out the mechanics of the paranormal, right? So we've got to break the mold. We've really got to start breaking this mold of being stuck in television land and doing what the boys on Ghost Adventures do and use the equipment that the boys on Ghost Adventures do. Because like Nick said before, when
the dog under the table,
when your head's down and you're busy looking for buttons and looking through screens, you're missing everything that's happening in front of you. You're missing it.
You're not present.
And our research came forward leaps and bounds when we started getting that equipment and just putting it aside.
Right, okay.
Because, I'm not worried about this and what that's doing, or are the batteries dead, or did I push the wrong button? Any of that, I'm not worried about that. We're being present in the moment, and that's when our research started going, forward in leaps and bounds. So
we had to go backwards to go forward.
Yeah. And when you think of some of the rubbish equipment that they bring to the table, and they're saying it's credible, if you think logically what that was built for and what it's doing, it's total garbage. So I don't go in with. I'm more basic, like a voice recorder, a camera, obviously, because if in case anything happens. And
I like the spirit box, right? And I don't know what your take is on this, and I'd be really interested. At beginning, if I'm honest with you, I thought it was a load of bullshit. I thought it's just radio stations. It's something that the TV have done. They've manipulated it in a way. However, we've had our surname come out of it. We've had full sentences come out of it. Yep. And when we run ours, we run it fastest speed.
No aerial.
Yep.
No aerial.
Yep.
And we can sit. I mean, we sat there for 45 minutes the other night, and not one blip of a radio station come through. And they're the ones that we want. We don't. I mean, I've heard people. Somebody sent me theirs the other day, right? And they said, "Listen to this that I got," and they ran it so slow, I actually heard classic FM.
Yeah, right. Yeah. It's I mean, I like using the ghost box, the spirit box, or the Frank box, whatever you want to call it too. It's just, I mean, personal. It's individual. It's I mean, obviously cameras are a must. They're the best way to document things. But find stuff that works for you. What might work for you may not work for me in my research, and vice versa. You know what I mean? So. Find what's best. Like we were speaking about earlier before we started this, like people are always going to pick apart your evidence.
Okay,
yeah.
So if they're not going to believe what they're hearing you're picking up on a ghost box, then they're not going to believe it anyway. You know what I mean? So, whatever works for you guys, just go with it.
Yeah,
for sure, go with it. We've got to break this mold of
I
TV
agree.
investigating, and we've got to start thinking outside the box a little bit more.
Well, the field isn't going to move any
no, it is at the point where I think it's actually damaging the field now. Some of the
everybody wants to be Zach. Everybody wants to be most haunted. Everybody wants that best piece of evidence. Sure, we all want that best piece of evidence.
Yeah.
I want to know why, though.
I don't care though whether
I want
anybody
to know
sees
why
it or not, as long as I see it.
Why me? Why do they want to speak to me? Who is it?
Yeah, and that's the best way. That's the best way to look at it. Make it personal for you. Don't worry about what everyone else wants or what they need from you. Next time you do this, we want to make sure that you've got a camera here. And it's not about them. It's about you and your research and finding research and answers for you. They can find their own answers. If they want the answers, don't come asking you for them. That's not your job. Your job is to find the answers for you. So, whatever works for you. If you want to find the mechanics behind the paranormal, start looking at that. And personally, guys, I think that's what you need to be doing, because it sounds to me like that there is stuff out there. Right?
Definitely 100% now.
There's
I'm
something
at that point.
And I think your research will move ahead like ours, leaps and bounds, when you start moving out the box of trying to capture evidence and just trying to figure out how it works. You know what I mean? So that's where we started getting our best results from.
So what are you two doing today? Where are you? Obviously, are you still going out investigating? Obviously, you do a lot of research, because I do listen to your vlogs.
Look, once it's in your blood, once it's in your DNA, it doesn't matter how many times you want to get out of the field. And believe me, over the last 20 years, there's been many times where I've just wanted to, that's it, I'm retired, I'm not doing anything, right? But once it's in the blood, it's in the blood. It doesn't leave you. And Nick will tell you that this shit keeps me up at night. Like, I am thinking about how to go about finding new things or discovering things or new experiments. And so it's always there. We've moved our research now out of the public eye a lot, because like I just said to you guys, it's not about anyone else anymore. We've done all of that. We think we've done everything we can in regards to that, and I think the job's done, because you guys are an example of that. It made you want to start researching. Okay, so for me, that's a job done there. So Nick and I will never stop researching, but our research encompasses everything paranormal: cryptozoology, ufology, mediumship, trying to figure out how it works. Does it work? Are they real? Are they not? Which has been really fascinating research as well. But it's not like we go out and we investigate a lot anymore. And I think that's because we've moved. You evolve and you move on. You know what I mean? So, like I said, I think we've done as much as we can with the ghosts. And Nick always says the Nana and Grandpa ghosts don't interest us anymore. You know what I mean? Like hearing about the rocking chair moving at 3:00 every morning. Yeah, that's cool. Like, that's awesome, but it just doesn't do it for me anymore.
Yeah.
I need something else. I need to find more.
Which is probably, for me, which is why we kind of moved more into the crypto side of things, the Yowie, which I just love. I love a big hairy man, and so partial to a big hairy man. So it's different. So everything that we learnt, we've been able to take outside. Plus, we get to be outside instead of cold, dark places or hot, dark places, and we kind of get to do different skill sets and experience different things. It's experiencing the paranormal outdoors and being aware of, hang on, what's that? There's this. You get all of those same things. We get to do it outdoors. We don't need public liability. You don't need, all that sort of garb. You can go out, go camping. And honestly, we've had some incredible experiences because we haven't had our cameras with us. Because we've been totally present and just being aware, and you're really in tuned when you're in the woods and in the forest and the bush. your senses heighten, your hearing gets better, your eyesight gets better, your smell, your taste, your psychic abilities improve because you're away from all the technology.
I was just going to say that, because we always used to say things like, we've got a camera, maybe we're not supposed to know, but I wonder if are we not supposed to know, or are we just too wrapped up in what we're doing? Because obviously we don't use our brains to the full potential that they's up there, you know? We don't have access to anything of our brains, really.
Yeah. Look, we've been in our swags and things, the most incredible things have happened. We've got all the equipment right there. We didn't even think to turn something on or to record, because we were just in the moment. It ends up being just for you, not then for somebody else.
Yeah.
Hey, you can't get that whole feeling, you know, of what happened. We've been really lucky in that, I guess, in that response where we've just got just leave the bloody thing, just leave it, you know.
Well, it's not be all and the end all at the end of the day, is it?
No, because look, and again, you get all the all the people going, oh, you could have done this, and you know, we're all great people. We've all got all this technology to sit there and do all this fakery and trickery, because that's what we're, you know, instead of just going, this is what we captured. So that's kind of what we've been doing in that realm of things.
Look, we'll investigate anything. I'll investigate a good ghost sighting if someone brings it to me, but it's got to be something different. Like for me now, it's got to be dark, or it's got to be really intense phenomena. It's got to be something out of the box for me to now pack up the gear and go, all right, we're going to investigate.
It's a lot of work, as you guys know.
Absolutely.
And unless you've done it, you don't realise what's involved. It's not just what you see, 12 minutes or half an hour on TV or whatever. It's the hours of prep before that, the hours of prep after that. There's a lot of work.
Oh, absolutely,
And, you've got to kind of weigh up the benefits.
And expense as well, because it's not.
We don't get paid for it. It's our hobby. We don't ask anybody to help us pay for anything. As far as I'm concerned, this is our passion, and nobody should have to give me money for my passion. It's weekdays, the weekend.
One of the biggest things people used to say to us, especially after Sir No Face was released, was, "Oh, well, geez, you sold out, guys. Like, geez, now you're making films and doing all that type of stuff. You sold out, and you got to fake stuff now to make some money." You know how much money we made from Sir No Face? A big fat donut, not 1 cent. I didn't ask for 1 cent for that footage.
Wow.
Because it's not about making dollars. Like with you guys, if it makes someone reassess or rethink what they've experienced, or make them want to go out and research, then for us, that's job done. That's our job done. And I think that's one of the reasons why we've kind of moved on a little bit from the ghost type investigating.
Everything else.
Not that we've stopped altogether, because we actually made a conscious move into a haunted house.
Yeah.
For the pure fact that we can research anytime we want. Our day or night, and have those experiences. We made a conscious decision to move in with the ghosts. So that hasn't stopped. But it's about, I think everything is connected in the paranormal world. Whether you're talking about ghosts, cryptozoology, ufology, mediumship, all that type of stuff. There's a connection.
It's not just one thing that's in play. It's a combination of everything.
Yeah. There is definitely connection with it all. That's one thing that I've really found out over the last few years, is that everything is connected.
Right.
We need a Bigfoot in the UK, don't we?
Yeah.
You've got them. And the dogmen. You've got the dogmen. Yeah. I was there 3 years ago, and I was staying at Chillingham Castle, speaking to one of the security guards there, and he'd not long had a sighting. And he was talking, because that's another thing that I'm kind of really interested in, is the dogmen phenomena. We don't have that many sightings here in Australia.
Right, 'cause it's funny, because last night we were talking, and this podcast is Lee's, and I said I didn't want to get involved because I have enough stuff to do. I do all the footage, I do all the editing, you know what I mean? But he's so good with text, I kind of have to sit here in the background hovering about, make sure he's all right, do his Instagram, whatnot, you know how it goes as a wife. Obviously, I'm sitting in today just because it's you two. There's the reason that I'm kind of sitting in. And I said to him, I'm going to sit in the background. But then as soon as I heard you
when you said
on,
Nicky was coming, she went, right,
I'm getting in as well. But I was saying to Lee, like, he was saying, like, where he wanted to go with this podcast. And I said, I think, personally, if it was me, speak to people that you want to talk to, like you guys, just to speak to you and hear your, not just necessarily your experiences, but what you think and how far in your research you've done. And I was saying about Bigfoot, God, it's a shame we haven't got anything like that in the UK. But maybe we're a little bit naive. I think maybe we are still wrapped up in that granny's ghost, you know, like for us, we've been doing it nearly 4 years. We're going into our 4 years
still,
of babies.
I
find it really difficult to find any credible research because anything I try, maybe I'm looking in the wrong way, but I find people saying, "Oh, it's the devil," or you know, I'd like that thing with the phenomenon with me hearing the boys come through quite a lot on. I found a few people, but just finding people credible.
And sometimes there's no answers, love. You've just got to. It is what it is. I hate that saying, by the way.
It is what it is.
But there's no. You can't find a rational reason. There is no rational because it's not. It's not meant for that dissection, you know. That's just your experience, and it's like, oh my goodness, you know, the fact that you might be able to replicate it. That's the interesting thing. Why there? Why has it happened here? You know, you start to kind of join dots. And
have you ever found that managed to replicate it? Is there anything that you've managed to do that's, or is it just it's just happened and you've seen people and you've heard them, or you know, have you managed to replicate in any way?
Phenomena you're talking about?
Yeah, so like I was saying about hearing the boys, and you said that you'd seen like cameramen there that were somewhere else.
How can you replicate that?
I'm just wondering if there's anything in the environment that you found that you've done that has made that link stronger, maybe.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the only place that I ever found that we could replicate phenomena was Cockatoo Island
and Maitland Jail to a lesser. I do love Maitland Jail.
So with the lights, those lights that we're talking about, we could get Sir to make those lights when we asked for them.
Right.
That was a request, and the request would be filled, and that's phenomenal.
Yeah. And what do you think that is? Do you think that's energy?
Yeah.
Oh, it's definitely some type of energy. I mean, that light, that brilliance of light is just something that you cannot describe to anyone that hasn't witnessed it.
Yeah,
it's all encompassing. That light filled every corner of that room.
Yeah.
And it never left a shadow.
No, it's not.
And you know, if you've been in a dark room for an hour, you get your night vision. And if someone flashes a torch, bam, that's it. There's a big flash of light. You can't see anything for the next 5 minutes until you get your night vision back. That light that Sir created on that island, it would flash. You could see the detail of everyone's face in that room for that split second, and then when it was gone, you still had your night vision. Like it was like
so it didn't blind you at all, or
no blinding light. You were back to being able to see in the dark.
And the light, we all said the light came right next to us. That was the other thing. It wasn't, you know, when you have a torch and you go, oh yeah, he's got the torch.
Yeah.
You can pinpoint where the light is. We all thought the light happened right beside us.
How funny, because when we had this the other night, I was kind of moving and I could have sworn it was there.
Right there.
And he thought it was here and Rocky thought it was over there. And yet I said, to me, I'm convinced, I even saw it go back down. Like I saw it go.
Wow.
Yeah.
And yet it was there to me next to that fireplace, but these two different places.
Wow. Funny you should mention that. One of our researchers, Richie, who's been with us since day dot, he actually mentioned one night seeing it just open up from a ball, from like a molecule into a ball, and just open up into this flash of light, and then just
go into itself,
swallow back into itself.
That. Well, obviously, my viewers can't see. That is how I describe as it went.
Yeah. Just he witnessed that too. He saw it open up, and then he saw it swallow back into itself again. So it's really interesting that you witnessed the same thing, and it's got me kind of thinking now that whatever it is, you remember how I said everything's connected? There's a connection. It knew we were coming to talk to you guys.
Oh my God, I said that last night.
What?
It's let you witness
experience.
Right, because I said to Lee last night, do you not find it really weird that we have never had anything like that before, and yet it's kind of weird that we're going to speak to you guys on the one thing that we're really excited about.
Like 3 days.
And this is literally Wednesday night.
You did mention it, but I didn't even trigger what you were saying.
Like Wednesday night, it's really, really weird. Like I can't even begin to wrap my mind around what that light was. It was brilliantly bright and white. It filled the room. It wasn't a torch. There's no windows. Even if it was windows, and even if it was somebody, I mean, we're in the middle of nowhere, right? We're in the middle of this massive
It's an 1800s castle that's been abandoned for like 3-4 years.
I'm in the middle of nowhere, but let's just say, I don't know. Let's say one of those windows had a little bit of a crack in it, and it was headlights coming through. It wouldn't have lit the room up the way it lit the room up. It
doesn't hurt your eyes like a torchlight either.
No, it went back to normal afterwards.
Back to normal.
We just looked at each other and went, shit, what happened? What
it
was
wasn't
that?
until you just said that then I was thinking, you know what, you're right. We weren't like, oh God, I can't see anything. We were stunned, and do you remember ever being like...
There's no recoiling like you do with a light. You automatically kind of close and pull back. There's none of that. You can keep your eyes wide open, see it all, and then it's just done. And then you're like, what? Wait, what?
Yeah. That's exactly what it was. And until you said that then as well about how team members would swear it was next to them, it was literally like that for us. I mean, I was moving my head that way, but my camera was facing that way. Yeah. And as soon as I saw it, I moved back to the way my camera was facing, and I saw it go down. And it was right next to the fireplace.
I just seen the flash. I just seen the flash.
But you said you thought it come from the other way.
Looked at Rocky and went, what was that? And he looked at me and he went, holy shit. Yeah. And he was like, please do it again. He's like proper excited that he's going, please do it again. Please do it again. But he never did it. He never come back. He didn't go. He did it once.
Yeah. Well, when we heard Minnie singing, that was another phenomena where we all thought she was singing right next to us. Like, no, she's here. You're hearing the voice or the sing right next to you. We're all sitting in this hallway, and we're all swearing. She's singing next to us. The
That's
sound.
Incredible to think that first of all, they're able to come through and you can hear it. And second of all, to the clarity that all of you swear that she's kind of singing personally to you, next to you, is insane.
Well, you're hearing it right here, Couldn't pinpoint where it was coming. It was coming from everywhere, but nowhere.
Yeah.
Phenomenal. We would hear, I don't know if you've ever heard that before you've heard our voice or you've heard anything. It's like a popping, the dimension might be broken. There's a pop. Sometimes it's really loud. We've had that really, really loud. And then sometimes it can be quite subtle. It's like just like a pop, and then it comes through. I don't know if you've ever heard that.
No, I've never even heard anybody say that.
Next time you capture an EVP, have a listen. Just a couple of seconds before you capture it, and see if you can hear
something change,
like a pop or a crack.
Right.
Sometimes you get a distinct change. Sounds like there's a change in the atmosphere.
Yeah.
When your ears pop. When the
yeah.
Sometimes Sarah will say when she's listening to the audio, she'll say like somebody's tapped on the top of the camera, like
like a tap.
Yeah,
I've heard that before.
Yeah,
I never even thought.
No, I haven't. That's that. I will listen out for that.
You'll start to join these things together. There's sometimes you'll get a pop, and then a voice will come through straight away. Sometimes you'll get a pop, and then some type of phenomena will happen.
It's like a membrane.
They're breaking through that barrier, and
yeah. Remember when we were at Callan Park and we were sat in that was an asylum in that room, and those pops, and it was like that, sounding like a trumpet. There's like a tunnel before we got the actual voice or the groan. Remember that? It was just phenomenal. That was probably one of the really most clearest time we would hear these massive pops, and then this thing through a tunnel. It sounded like the voice was coming through this tunnel. We got that a fair few times that night, didn't we?
Yeah, which is really interesting. But I definitely think that light was for you guys. I think it's some way connected to us as well, because they knew we were going to have a conversation. So, that's definitely interesting. Definitely interesting.
Pretty incredible.
Pretty cool.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
But I would definitely like to stay in touch with you guys, if that's okay with you. I know obviously you don't want to check people's evidence and you've got a lot of stuff going on, but if I do get anything, I just find it so interesting that you've done the research behind it, like that pop. I will now start listening and
Yeah,
for sure. We're always here for people that are genuine and really want to, do the research properly. We're always more than happy to help people, answer questions. We even get groups here in Australia that ask us to come out and help them, and we go and we help groups do that over here too. And I think we get it much more of a kick out of that nowadays than we do actually sitting in the dark ourselves, because we've done it for so long and spent too many hours hungry, cold, dirty, hot, spiders crawling all over me. Either bored to tears, 90% of the time, or scared to death the other 10% of the time. So,
and that's literally what paranormal investigating is like, and that's what they don't capture. Everybody who watches TV shows thinks that we all walk into a building and the ghost goes, "Hi, I'm here."
Yep. Yeah. And it all starts happening, and you're all done, and you're all just, no one does shopping or cooking or cleaning or go to work or anything like that. Just
family.
Yeah, no idea.
All the equipment's there already. It's all set up.
All charged.
All you got to do is just walk.
Just walk into the building.
You've got this magic person who goes through all your footage and finds you all the good stuff. Yeah. I've got a good person that goes through all my footage.
Look, if you're open to it, next time we'll chat to you about some of the crypto stuff we've been doing.
Yes.
We haven't really shared that with anyone.
I feel like the conversations that we could have with you guys would be absolutely endless.
And I'm glad we're not in Australia. You'd have an injunction on us.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Oh gosh, love you.
Look, we go off on tangents a lot, guys. So sorry if we didn't get to answer a lot of the questions you had about Sir No Face or Cockatoo Island. I'm sure you want to know what we think Sir No Face is, and I've got to be 100%. I've got to be 100% honest with you. To this day, I still don't know.
I kind of figured that.
I still don't know. The whole investigation of Sir No Face, I'm sure you guys know, has taken a whole different turn.
Different line,
absolutely.
Yeah.
To what we thought it was, and look, it still could be some sort of spiritual entity.
Yeah.
You know, it's just that the evidence that we have at the moment is kind of taking us down the other fork in the road.
Right.
It is intelligent, whatever it is. It was super intelligent.
It looked directly down the camera.
Looked exactly where the camera was.
And it knew to get out of the way, peep and get out of the way as well.
Yeah, exactly right.
It just, I've got goosebumps just talking about it. Because I always say to Craig, it really interests me. It's this peeping business.
Yeah.
What is it about them peeping? You often see that on other, footage and things like that. This peeping, it's like
we get a lot of as well. Is like especially the first couple of nights, like creeping, in the distance, like they're creeping up, looking and buggering off. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Are they not aware that they can't be seen? It's just this peeping, this stalkerish kind of feeling, about it. Sir, whatever he is, that's certainly intelligent. Mm-hmm. It knew exactly where the camera was, where it was set up. It was alien enough that it removed itself from view. It just because there wasn't a person in the building. We were long gone. When that happened.
Nobody could ever come to you and say, yeah, but that could have been so-and-so. And my view is that it didn't look like
when you hear people who've
it looked the shape of a person, but it didn't look like human. It didn't look like we look now.
Even the way it moved. Even the way, if you see the arm come out, is just a fluidity to it that's just not human.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And if you watch the Sir No Face film, when Danny Patterson, he's the guy who made, Iron Man and Avengers, that type of stuff. When you listen to him talk about it, and he has to know the human anatomy, the way that people move in order to recreate these things on computers for films. When you listen to him talk about it and say that it's not human, he doesn't know what it is, but it's not human.
Mm-hmm.
Then it makes it even more breathtaking, that piece of footage.
And that again is what you captured in Sir No Face with speaking to him and stuff that I could tell it was incredible stuff what you were capturing. It just, like I say, since watching all your stuff afterwards and following you on Instagram and listening to your vlogs and stuff, I can tell that you genuinely want to know the answer. This isn't done for fame. It's not done for ratings. It's not.
No.
There's not a demon in my basement. There's not an alien on that island. There's not. I can definitely tell that. Anybody else would have capitalised on it.
Yeah. I still don't know to this day what it was. No. Is it still there? Probably.
Mm-hmm.
But what it is, I couldn't tell you. But
have you ever seen it since?
No.
Like, No. So it's not intelligent enough to have followed you around, or.
But maybe it was just the time they spent there. It got to know them as.
Yeah, it's not to say it wasn't there. We just didn't see it. We were always busy. Well, not always, but
you're in a gear of
you're doing other things, and we just by the time even Craig noticed it, by the time we picked it up, we're already moving on. Like a couple of weeks. You can't. Yeah, that's great. Move that. We've still got other stuff to do, and it just.
The really amazing thing about that particular house where it was captured was that we researched that particular house for months, and it was your typical creepy haunted house looking place. And when we first got to the island, that house really piqued my interest just because of the way it looked. And it's like, that's the place I want to get into. And for the first couple of months, it was extremely disappointing in terms of phenomena. It was very underwhelming.
And it was really hard, remember to record, because they had seagulls. They are the noisiest creatures on the earth.
Yeah.
So with all the mama seagulls, and they're like, you couldn't breathe without them going off. Trying to do an investigation with EVP,
you just made it difficult.
They would literally wake the dead. You just go, oh my God, forget it. You just the place looked great, but we couldn't really do much because of those seagulls.
All we really knew about that house was that people had reported seeing a man in military uniform looking out from the windows.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's all we really knew about that particular place. So after a few weeks in that particular building investigating it, with nothing happening, it got to the point where it was our last. I said, if nothing happens tonight, we're gone. We'll pack up and we'll move on to the next building, and we'll start focusing.
Yeah.
Is that when you caught him?
That's when we caught the light for the first time.
I think they heard you say that.
We said that. It was hard work, trying to be quiet, because you make a sound, the bloody seagulls, and you just, it was exhausting, and all this effort, you're not getting anything.
I actually vocalized it. I said, look,
we're just going.
If there's anyone here, please let us know, because after tonight, we're not coming back. We're done. We're gonna move on. And then we spoke about it a bit more. If there is a man in military uniform here, how is he going to respond to us? Well, he'll respond to us if we call him sir. Sir, if you're here, please let us know you're here. Otherwise, we're going to bam the light. It was like, holy shit, where did that come from? That was, nothing else happened that night. But enough. It's like when you play golf.
Dangle in front of you.
Yeah.
You play golf, and you're like me, you're really shit at golf, but you make one good shot.
And it keeps you going.
Keeps going back.
So it was exactly the same as this. That light flashed. We were amazed. It's like, oh, we've got to go back and we've got to try this again.
Yeah.
Sure enough, we built a relationship with this entity that we were calling Sir. And he would respond to us by flashing the lights when we asked him to.
Yeah.
We got government officials out on the island who witnessed the lights. We brought people from off the street that were skeptics that witnessed the light. We brought electricians onto the island
to check
what's this light, and they were absolutely bamboozled as to what it was. So once we started referring to this entity as Sir, that's when we started
everything changed.
Yeah, everything changed. We started getting the responses. We knew something was there, but we never actually saw it until we captured it in the Surno-face footage.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's incredible, isn't it?
Yeah,
that's incredible. I'm certainly going to look into what you were saying about the cryptozoology stuff and what we've got in the UK, because
you've got a lot of. And I can't remember the gentleman's name. I will find that for you and let you know. That's done some amazing work.
Right, okay.
Out
We're
there.
really massively interested in that, won't we?
Yeah, I didn't even know we had one over here.
No, I don't got a clue.
You've got some amazing stuff over there with everything. Not I mean, you've got some of the best ghost stories on the planet from your homeland. You've got some of the best UFO sightings in the world come from UK as well. Rendlesham, obviously, first thing to mind when you think of UFO sightings, but you've got the cryptids. You've got the cryptids as well. So and it's amazing. I'd love for you to start delving into that research as well and seeing what you come up with in regards to this being all connected as well.
Yes.
Be really interesting.
The same but different.
The same but different.
Yeah, the same but different.
Yeah, see, and this goes back to that same thing. It's not going to move on in the field until people do stuff like this and can compare notes and can say, well, hang on a minute, I've had this and I think it's that, but I've had this and this was that. It's just not going to move forward. But I'm definitely going to have a look at that. Definitely something we're interested in. We keep saying, don't we, every summer we'll go out and do the UFO stuff. And we never get around to doing it, do we?
No.
Yeah, look, and I've got to tell you, the UFO stuff,
the night watchers.
I don't know if Nick will agree with me or not here. The UFO research has probably been some of the most unnerving research I've ever done. More so than your haunted asylums or castles or what have you. Just because there's a lot more involved in real life in regards to UFOs than you would with the ghosts and stuff as well. So sometimes it's a little bit, be careful what you wish for.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Because I can tell you now, I wish Sir No Face was a ghost.
Right.
I wish that's all it was. And there have been times where Nick and I have just wished that it had have stayed as a ghost on a haunted island in a haunted, because it drifted off into the UFO realm a little bit.
And you guys have had a lot of trouble as well, haven't you, with
the second film, Two-Face the Grey. Yeah, so there have been times where I just wish we had left it where it was. It would have been a lot safer for us. So, sometimes it's a little bit, like I said, be careful what you wish for. But at the end of the day, once it's in the blood and it's in the DNA, and you just you become a truth seeker, and you want answers. It's a bit hard to stop anyway.
Why do you think that the governments don't want us to know
about UFOs?
Because they're not equipped to deal with it.
Look, it's really interesting. It's a massive topic, but you would have noticed there's been a lot more UFO stories and research coming out into the mainstream media.
Yes, there has,
especially from the United States military. So disclosure is upon us. And
we did read a paper somewhere where somebody said like 18 months ago that they're going to start drip feeding it to the public.
That's right.
Craig's been saying it, and so has Chad's been saying it for.
They're not going to come out and go, oh, look, suddenly there's UFOs. It's you can see it in the movies, you can see it. It's been happening for the last,
these types of things happen very slowly,
subtle
to build the society into
awareness
very slowly, instead of just slapping them in the face with it. It's a slow build. You get used to it. You get used to the stories. Here on Mainstream Network in Australia on Thursday night, there was another huge show on Channel 7 News in regards to UFO phenomena in this country, which is just unheard of.
Wow.
But we get this more and more frequent now. So just
without the tongue-in-cheek sort of, and the X-Files music playing in the background. It's there's more seriousness about it, which is refreshing as well, right?
So disclosure is most definitely upon us, and it won't be long until more details will be released. There'll be some big stuff to come, I'm sure. You'll notice that more and more countries will have UFO research facilities or government
teams,
type organisations.
They do now. They just don't.
They just don't disclose it now, do they?
Yeah. But they're coming out with it more and more. I think Japan was one of the most recent ones to come out with their own UFO government task force. I think a lot of it has been kept very hush-hush, just for the sheer fact that I believe that world governments have been in contact with aliens for some time.
Yes.
See, my theory behind it, I mean, obviously you've done a lot more research, but I always wonder that if a little green man was to come down and everybody on the planet then believed, are we going to start questioning everything from religion to governments to...
You've got to.
And does that scare the hell out of governments?
Yeah, I mean, religion will be the biggest loser in that.
Yeah.
Right? Religion will definitely be the biggest loser in that.
There's a lot of money in religion too, love.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely, and they've got a lot of power as well.
That's right.
So that's going to change, people's way of thinking altogether. But without going into too much detail, I do think that alien races are here. I do believe that they have been involved with our governments for quite some time, and I do believe that it is all coming to a head one day very soon. At the moment, the world is quite divided with this virus and the pandemic and vaccinations and all this type of stuff. There's quite a divide, quite a divide. And I think one day very soon we will all be reunited with the one cause, and that will be from an outside force.
Influence.
And do you think that? But then, what spin are they going to put on it? Then do you think they're going to put on it that they're here to harm us, they're here to damage us? Because I personally, this is just my personal. I think they could have harmed us years ago. They could have damaged us years ago. They could damage us at any time they want. Yeah,
exactly right. Exactly right. Well, you'll notice that when the most UFO sightings happen, or when the most UFO flaps occur, it's when countries are testing nuclear devices.
Yes, absolutely.
100%.
And I think it's got a lot to do with saving humanity.
Yes, I do. And I believe that whoever they are and wherever they are, they're a peaceful society, not like human beings that want to fight each other and
power in the bad as well.
Yeah,
you get both sides of the spectrum.
As above, so below. I think there's the not so nice ones out there too.
Yeah.
But I think they aren't happy with us with the nuclear weapons.
Destroying the planet, you name it. We've really shit on our own planet, haven't we?
Yeah. I think it has a lot to do with the global elite as well. And our power. I mean, if you have a look at the research of Nikola Tesla, going back when Tesla was doing his research, by now we shouldn't be paying for power.
Absolutely.
Right? There is no way that we should be paying for power now.
Yeah.
Absolutely no way at all. So, if an alien race did come down and say, "Hey, look, free power. This is how you do it," the global elite don't want that.
Yeah, that's it. You don't need governments to tell you what you should and shouldn't be doing and doing that, and you shouldn't be paying and taxes and all that sort of stuff. And that's the biggest fear.
Yeah.
We are not a herd of sheep. We don't need a shepherd. I don't think.
Yeah,
no, that's right.
And let me ask you something as well that I found really interesting. Why is it that all these multi-billionaires, the richest people on the planet, are all now trying to get off the planet?
Yeah.
I know. Yeah. I did say something about that the other week. Funny
Have you noticed that?
Yeah.
They're all trying to
Mars.
build
we're going to build a super base on Mars, and
they're all wanting to get off the planet.
They can't look after their own home.
What do they know that we don't?
That's right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly. Right. Absolutely. So, and it's when you start going down that path and you start researching and looking into that, that's when it becomes unnerving.
Yeah.
And sometimes terrifying.
Right.
Yeah.
Because it's scary shit when you start thinking about it. And it messes up your head when you start going down that path.
Yeah, it's a rabbit hole.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
certainly. Yeah. So
that makes Nana and Grandpa go seem really good.
That's right.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
With that bags.
That's right. That's what you want to do.
Yeah. Now we'll talk about the crypto stuff next time, and
definitely
Spirit, which has been amazing. We've had some really cool stuff.
Maybe next time we'll speak to you, what we'll do is we'll do it after we've done a bit of research and maybe gone out to some places, and then we can kind of tell you what we've got and if we experienced anything.
Yeah. No, I mean, just to get outside is phenomenal. It recharges you.
Yeah.
And what you're doing is just refining your own skills, and suddenly you'll go, oh my God.
It'll help you with your ghost.
It'll help you 100%. You'll suddenly go, this thing on my ear's doing this. I get this when we're doing an investigation. Pay attention, or I've got that feeling. All your
so do you think that's a phenomenon as well? Just touching on that, because that night we had that light. I've not had this before. This it sounded like when the TV's failing. And you hear that really loud high
ringing in the ear.
That's happening to me all that night. All through that night.
And that's them, that's spirit trying to, that's your frequency trying to get through.
Tell you that.
Yeah, but
yeah,
I said that to him.
and that's part of which one you're right or left. You'll get to know. Hang on, there's this. If this one's going off, like really pay attention. Or this one, hang on a minute, there's this. It's phenomenal. Your body will never let you down, love.
No, it's the best tool.
Ever let you down.
Absolutely. That's what we were built for, all these senses.
Absolutely. So anything else, forget, because your body will never let you down. Your own energetic field, you're in tune. You take that, what you've done now, and you put that outside even, you go, oh my God, like you are in tune. Yeah. Being outdoors helps you realize how in tune you are, and then you go back indoors again and do something and go, oh, yeah, like look at that, because the equipment's not always going to, and you'd know that.
Absolutely.
Standing side by side, one piece will go off, the next one won't, and you'll get a recording, you don't. Why does that happen? No idea.
That's it.
Pay attention to your ears and which one and what happens, how you feel, your gut, what else your body's telling you.
Right. Okay.
Awesome.
Yeah. Right, well, we better let you go because it's 2 hours.
Really? Is it really?
We've been on 2 hours, yeah. So I'm going to let you go. Thank you very much for letting me sit in. Thank you very much for speaking to us. For me, I've loved every minute of it.
Yeah, me too. You can actually on the gas.
Oh, can I?
Yeah. I'll let you do that.
I get to do that. Okay, so for everybody listening, we hope you've enjoyed it as much as we've enjoyed it. If you've not seen Sir No Face, you need to go and check it out.
100%.
100%. Craig and Nicky, could you just tell us where people can find you if they want to have a look at your
and if you want to be found.
If you want to be found.
Yeah. Look, I still, you wouldn't believe it, but a lot of the government have shut down a lot of my sites. So they took down my website. They've shut down my emails. You can still find my paranormal investigator page on Facebook. So you'll just find me under Craig Powell, Paranormal Investigator. Yeah. And Nick and I are both on Instagram as well. Yeah. So I'm Craig WSPR and Nick is Nicky WSPR. Yeah, the government are just making.
Well, that's why I couldn't get onto your website then, because I did try to get onto your website and it just kept saying not found.
Yeah, we just all our stuff is.
And no one's responding to me as to why it's gone.
So we've kind of just thought we'd just leave it, be the grey person, and just hopefully they'll forget about things. And we just can't get anything back. It's gone.
Wow. So to everybody listening, go over, check these two out. If you've not seen Sir No Face, you've got to watch it. I urge you. We tell everybody, don't we? Yeah. Everybody we speak to on Instagram, they'll say, we've got this, but you need to watch Sir No Face.
I said loads of people, got friends in America.
Yeah, everybody's had it from us.
Yeah. No, listen.
Don't go to that. Go and watch Sir No Face.
And then the next time they'll go, holy shit.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So this is actually going to be not ours, Lee's Christmas episodes. This is going out in December. So Merry Christmas to everybody, happy holidays, and yay. And you'll be back in 2022.
Yeah.
With a new guest.
Yeah.
Fantastic. All right. Well, thank you very much for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, guys. It's been awesome.